Listen, it is so hot out here, and I wanted to come out here because I was like, this sunlight is going to be hitting. So we're just going to do it because, listen, I'm going to talk about how I collectively got my clients $31 million to date in revenue using one simple marketing system. Now, when you hear the word marketing, what do you think? You probably think it has something to do with increasing visibility, maybe advertising or something like that. But I'm here to teach you a different marketing strategy, one that's focused on quiet growth retention. I've sat on boards with growth marketing teams as a consultant, not as a W-2 employee, not as someone that was coming in, under a W-2, but as a consultant in my business to Fiji Rights to help lead these teams, like corporations that literally make $853 million per year. Needed assistance on the retention marketing teams because after they saw my portfolio and case studies, which I do allow the public to check out down below if you were to go to www.tafijirights.ai or tafijirights.co, then you would see my portfolio plain and simple. But they saw these case studies on my website and they said, you know what, we need to work with her to expand our firm. We need to get her in here to analyze what our team is doing, the copy we're creating, which is what they would call creative, the data analysis they're performing, and then the emails that they are scheduling out. And it's not just about emails. Many of these companies, they also send SMS, and SMS is a huge revenue driver if you already have a large email list. So think of this as you going behind the scenes in some of the most successful companies across education technology, DNA, healthcare, and e-commerce, because I'm going to tell you how these companies hit their revenue milestones without being on social all day. Because one thing I noticed about these companies, because anytime I have a new client, I research their business, I look at their social media profiles. These companies are not on Instagram and Facebook all day. They'll do like a campaign, as they like to call them in corporate, and say, hey, we're gonna post on social media 3 times in the next couple of weeks. Or hey, we're gonna just tell them about this webinar we have. But the majority of their marketing spend and energy was not going to social media. It was instead going to email marketing and SMS marketing. That's what we call retention marketing, because you're focusing on only speaking to, or focusing on speaking to, the people who have given permission for you to email them. That's why it's called retention, because technically they already gave you permission versus speaking to a cold audience on social media. As much as marketing gurus would like to tell you, book all of your clients on social media, traditionally in the corporate sense, social media is still a cold media platform, unless you're running ads and you're retargeting people who are used to seeing you multiple times. Unless you're doing organic marketing and you're getting those same views from the same people a bunch of times. But that's typically not how it works. Typically people on social media will come and see you, then they'll fall off, then maybe they'll come back, then they'll fall off again, because that's how the algorithm works. So they don't really have a choice. That's just the mechanics and the technicalities of an Instagram, of a Facebook, of a YouTube. But the moment somebody goes to your website, signs up for your email list, that means you can go an extra step further in educating them, teaching them your process. And that is exactly what I've done for clients over the last 9 years in business. Now, you're probably thinking, more content equals more revenue if I just show up more on social, but that's not necessarily the case. And if you are showing up more on social, you should definitely be showing up just as much on your email list, because again, and this is a hard thing to wrap your mind around when you've been so focused on social for the first couple of years of your business, the people who are already on your email list are more willing to hear from you than the people on social media. And this is just the truth. This is why, according to MailChimp, you can have a 21% open rate, 1% click rate. But on Instagram, if you were to look at your followers versus the amount of people that actually see your post at any given time, you're gonna come up with a percentage that's 2 to 3% of your total follower count are even able to see the content you post on Instagram. Now, I have clients that have exceedingly higher open rates and higher revenue with those open rates, like 41%, 35%. And so this really shows you that their email list is so specific and the problem they solve is so functional and totally in the hemisphere of what that client needs, that they're opening basically every single email. Because imagine if 45%, 35% of Instagram, your followers, could actually see your post. That would be excellent. That would be amazing. That's what everybody wants. But Instagram doesn't really function like that. And on top of that, if you were to actually break down and look at your reels versus carousels versus images, a lot of times reels don't even go to your followers. Reels will go to new people to bring people into you, which is really great if you're in builder mode. But if you're in selling mode and you want to make revenue, it's not that great because you're working on two opposite sides of the funnel. You're looking at top of funnel and bottom of funnel. Top of funnel is for those new people. Bottom of funnel is for the people who have been there for months and years and need different messaging to trust you enough to hand you their credit card, their debit card, their business loan, whatever it is that they need to hand to you. And so you're trying to get on social media and treat it as bottom of funnel when social media is really the top of the funnel. And that's why the messaging and engagement on social media will decrease when you're trying to talk bottom of funnel content or when you're trying to explain your offers, because social, quite honestly, just was not made for that. But there's also a mistake people make with email marketing as well. People will send newsletters every week or twice a week, 3 times a week, and they'll treat it as either too stuffy or exactly like a newsletter, like, hey, we just hired so-and-so on our team and this is what's happening. And they won't let their buyer into their world. They won't let their buyer into the decisions they have to make as a CEO. They won't let their buyer in to have a type of intensive. You can actually have an intensive atmosphere over email when you're asking your buyer questions that are going to get them to the next level. Because if they can have a quick win with you via email, via the written word, they know they want to work with you in person eventually. Then number 3, a lot of founders write like ChatGPT because prior to AI, a lot of founders just could not write very well. And the founders who can write are the ones who get the most revenue. For example, some of my clients, they are actually pretty good writers. And they know that. That's why they started their email marketing journey before coming to me. So by the time they come to me, they're like, hey, I've been writing my own emails for a while now, but I'm getting tired of it. Here's what I've been doing. Take a look, audit it, see what you can come up with. And I'm going to give this to you now because I really want to serve my clients instead of writing emails all day. But they knew email was their bread and butter. They know if they have 21,000 subscribers, if they send out 2 emails a day, they're gonna have about 56 calls booked every single month. Email marketing is a numbers game as much as anything else in statistics. It's really about numbers and you understanding your own numbers. Which brings us to the revenue continuity strategy, because I don't just send emails for clients. I bring them infrastructure that readies them to stabilize their revenue and to secure their next offer slots in their business. And so this is comprised of 3 core areas: orientation, segmentation, and retention. We've talked a little bit about retention, but let's talk orientation. Orientation is the type of conversation you would have on a sales call with a client. You're telling them what it looks like to work with you. Hey, fill out the contract, I'm gonna invoice you, then you're gonna get a welcome kit, and this is what it's going to look like working together in the next 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, 30 days, 6 months, 12 months, whatever that timeline is for your package. But you should be doing this via email as well. You should do this on social as well, but just understand those posts are gonna get lower views because that is super sales related. But orientation helps your client make a buying decision. And something else that I found quite interesting from my own data this past year, a lot of times we think, okay, one offer, one thing, don't give them any decisions because decisions will bring them decision fatigue. But a healthy 1 to 2 decisions can actually make all the difference in your revenue strategy. And so now in my launches, actually, I don't even just email my list and say, okay, you only have 1 option. I give them 2 options and I tell them, hey, you can join a 1-to-1 coaching or we can do done for you agency style VIP days magnetic emails. What do you want? I did this with a couple of clients and it actually made them want to buy faster because they had something to say no to. So they were like, no, I don't want to do coaching. I just want you to handle everything. Or no, I don't want to do any coaching. I don't want to do the VIP day. I want to do the agency package where I'm going to sign up with you and you're going to write my entire sales funnel, my entire email sequence, and I'm going to handle the technicalities behind this launch. You write the copy, I'll do the technical part, and then we're going to execute. This is what clients have recently said to me, and I thought that data point was so interesting. But this also goes to show you, this is why understanding your data and having either a marketing director, a data analysis, or a consultant come in to walk you through what that data actually means is so beneficial. So with orientation, clients get to understand who you are, what to do, and what the next steps look like working with you. Be sure to include emotion, storytelling, creativity. Again, visit www.tiffygwrites.ai or .co to see my portfolio, to see in real time what that actually looks like while you're watching this video. And then number 2 is segmentation. This is ensuring that the right message goes to the right type of buyer at the right time. So the greatest example I can give for this is a DNA company that I have worked with over and over the past 3 to 4 years now. I think we met in 2022 actually. So that's going on 4 years. But this DNA company, it's an e-commerce firm, but they're still high ticket. So their product is not like a $30 oil, a $50 whatever. Their products are $275, $300, $700. So they're high ticket, still e-commerce. Technically could be defined as healthcare, but it's a DNA company, okay? And so they have these packages that they combine. They had a variety of packages. They had like a maternal ancestry, a paternal ancestry, a combination of a family pack, a course that they had brought out. And so there's a lot of different product differentiation, but they're at a level in their business, they're 20 years plus in business where they can expand like that, because I tell beginner entrepreneurs, you want to start with 1 to 2 things. That's all. Maybe a third that you upsell on the back end. But I know whenever I go into any client call or anybody signs up to work with me, it's only possible for them to get one of 3 things that I offer. So back to this DNA company, since they have so much product variation and it's high ticket, we would segment the list based on what previous customers already purchased in the past. Now we would use Klaviyo. Klaviyo is great for e-commerce, but I've also used HubSpot. I've used Go High Level. I've used ConvertKit. ConvertKit, you don't really see a lot of serious businesses use that one. Typically a service provider, they're gonna have HubSpot, Keep, Go High Level, Active Campaign, or something like that that has better data analysis. A lot of the people that use ConvertKit, they're new to email marketing, and it's a great platform to grow on, but that's just what it is with ConvertKit. So she has all these different products, and we have to segment. And when I say segment, I'm meaning we are sending a different message to each person on that list. So imagine you have these 4 different products, 5 different products. For each product, there's a segment of the email list. That's where this word segmentation comes into play. There's a segment of that email list. So I can send segments to this group of people and this group of people, and then not send it to that group of people. Or I can send it to all of these groups, but then not this group, because it doesn't make sense logically since they've already purchased everything they've had before. Or I can send an email to just this group of people because we have something that's relevant just for that group of people based on their buyer history and based on their behavioral patterns, okay? Now, I found this client on LinkedIn, or I should say she found me on LinkedIn. And so there is a way for you as a small entrepreneur, a consultant, who you would call small. Other corporations, they would love to have you on because they are firing en masse their full-time employees and would love to bring on a consultant hybrid executor who can consult and can come in their business and handle some of the HR, handle some of the accounting, handle some of the marketing, right? Handle some of the cases if they're in social work and kind of like law advocacy. because we've worked with law firms as well. But that's segmentation, and it's one of those things, it's kind of complex to understand at first. You do have to start to see it on your own, but that's an example of segmentation. Segmentation typically will not work for a business that's too small because you don't have enough buyer data yet, and so you want to be aware that that's something you can do in the future. But until you have thousands and thousands and thousands of contacts in your CRM database, until you have a multitude of products and that complexity, that's the reason segmentation comes in, because the business offer or the business model has gotten too complex, and so they can't send the same exact message to every single person because all of the buyers are different. Same thing when I worked with a hair care company that's an e-commerce company that did quizzes for different hair care styles. That makes sense as well because there's 4 different core hair care styles, and so based on those hair care styles of super frizzy hair, super silky hair, and whatever the other 2 were, they're sending messaging that's specific to that. So you can see why these corporations need so many emails, need so much data analysis. But here's the lesson I want you to pull from this. The way that corporations are running their email and retention marketing systems, why are you not applying that to your business? Especially if you're on YouTube, especially if you have a podcast, especially if you have a book, you have these public facing portfolio type of things where people can find you and watch your content for 5 hours on YouTube. They can find you and listen to you on a variety of different podcast interviews you've done. They can read your book, they can see what you think and what your thoughts are. Why are you not applying that to your business? A lot of times people will say, well, I'm not at that level yet, or I feel like I can't email people, or I tried to have a virtual assistant do it and it didn't work. Number 1, a virtual assistant handling heavy copywriting, persuasion, data analysis, and sophisticated marketing tactics that only an advanced marketer will know is not going to bring the fruit that you want. You're going to waste your money, you're going to waste your time, and you're going to be frustrated. Number 2, if you do not begin to treat your business somewhat like a corporation and stop treating it like a side hustle, then you will remain in the same place you are for a multitude of years. To get different results, you have to do something different in your business. And the way that I've seen corporations leverage email marketing, spend the bulk of their marketing resources into their email list, because these are people that have already told them, hey, I want to work with you, even if I don't want to work with you not right now, I may want to work with you down the line. So that's somewhere that you should be spending all of your resources, your energy, your resources, your time. Everything should be going to email marketing. And again, back to the 3 core parts in the revenue continuity strategy: orientation, segmentation, and retention. Retention is obviously compounding revenue that resets every month. When you hear people say MRR or ARR, monthly reoccurring revenue, okay? Or you can look at retention as, these clients have already worked with me, but I still email them because I have other packages and private one-to-ones, private masterminds, whatever it is that they have not gone through yet. And so that's retention, retaining the lifetime value of that customer. Lifetime value, you can look at it as how long somebody stays on your email list and stays as a customer. Okay, that's lifetime value. You can combine these 2 ideas, because traditionally you would say lifetime value is how long somebody's a customer, but also when we're talking retention marketing, it's also how long are people staying on the email list until they purchase. How long are they staying on the email list until we perform an upsell or a downsell based on what we have to deliver to them in that season. If this all sounds too technical, that's a good thing. That's a great thing, because that means you now have a new trajectory to take your business in. You now have a new area of expertise that you need to learn about and that you need to get into so that you can immediately make more revenue. Now, the beautiful thing with clients who already email their list, and by the time they come to me, they already know how special email marketing is, it's easy to sell to them. It's easy to work with them. It's easy to have a long-term partnership and relationship, because they themselves started email marketing for their business and now they're ready to hand it off. Versus clients who maybe haven't started email marketing yet, or they're in that very beginner phase of the readiness buyer's journey. Again, this goes down to knowing your customer behavior, buyer psychology. They haven't done it for themselves, and so it's truly the type of thing, if you have not seen this work for yourself, then it's hard to wrap your mind around. It's hard to understand creative copywriting as it relates to email marketing because it's not social media, testing different calls to actions through A/B testing, diverting people to a sales page versus diverting them to your podcast based on the buyer's journey that they are in right now and based on their level of trust with your business, okay? And so if you are kind of confused, that is okay as well. Again, go to www.tiffygwrites.ai, go through my website because I have so many blogs over the past years focused on specifically email marketing. And remember, if you are trying to have a virtual assistant come in and handle email marketing, that's why you're probably frustrated. That's why you're hitting spam. That's why your email list deliverability is going down the drain. Email is not one of those things that is as simple as social. There's a lot of technical requirements. For example, you cannot send SMS messages before 8 a.m. because it's illegal. Okay, these are some of the technicalities that you have to pay attention with SMS and email marketing so that you can actually be compliant with what you're doing in your business and to actually help your clients get to the next revenue decision. Because imagine if a corporation like the ones I've been talking about, and they're not even like the largest corporations out there, they're industries like education technology, hair care, custom hair care, which is basically e-commerce. These are not like the largest, top 10, top 20 companies, but they're pretty large compared to a smaller business. Why would they take the time and say, hey, I have to go to this platform Marketer Hire, that's a platform that I'm on, where they only assign the top 1% of marketers in the world to these companies? Why wouldn't they go with a virtual assistant instead? That's the question you need to ask. If these firms are taking email seriously, you need to also find a way to take email just as serious. Obviously, you're probably not going to be spending $50,000, $100,000 per month on email marketing, but you can find space in your marketing budget, find space in your time, and become more resourceful to master email marketing a little bit on your own. You can join a one-to-one. You can book somebody who's an email marketing specialist to do 20 emails for you in a VIP day setting so that you can at least move the needle to understand revenue generation for your business because you're exhausted from this level that you're at. Spending all your time in social media for no reason, feeling like you're just hitting the ground even though you have a team of virtual assistants, a team doing this, a team doing that. It's time to reassess and audit your business to see if these people and these mechanisms that you're using are actually producing a return on investment or not. Again, 257 companies, 31.9 million in collective revenue to date. Working with education consultants, service providers, finance, and other regulated industries, the numbers speak to themselves. In a world where we have AI and the attention collapse, people's attention is literally just dying out due to TikTok craze, the TikTok phenomenon where you want a 2-second video. Then we have buyer skepticism and the lack of trust in the economy. You have to be willing to go the extra mile for your clients. You have to decide if you are willing. Will you still be in business in the next 5 to 10 years? I've seen so many businesses go out of business just in the last 2 years that it's like, wow, these are people that came up with me and I'm still here. So it's just such a blessing to still be in business. But part of that is because eventually I let social media go. Not to say that I don't post on social media. I actually post pretty consistently on social media. But for every social media post that you see me post, I promise you, my email list, they're getting an email every single day. Ebooks, white papers, data analysis, projects I'm working on behind the scenes, decision steps to help them make their next decision to stabilize their revenue. I'm gonna leave you with this. I'm 7 months pregnant. Okay, but I don't go to a general practitioner. I don't go to a nurse assistant every 3 weeks. I don't go to somebody who just knows CPR at 7 months pregnant. I go to a specialized OB/GYN, a doctor that specializes in women's health and pregnancy. Are you doing things in your business where you're going to a lower level, a nurse aide, you're going to just a CPR instructor, you're going to a general practitioner, where you should be going to a specialist like the OBGYN that I see out here in the island of Mauritius. Now comment down below if you would like me to also do a segment about how our business has allowed us to get residency in Mauritius, and it allows us to get residency in other territories of the world if you would like me to discuss that as well. But that's the question I'm going to leave you with. Are you using a generalist in places in your business where you should be using a specialist? I'll see you in the next video.